Let the interview begin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the For Love and Nerds podcast. I'm here with Eddie Weber. Hi, Eddie. Thanks for joining me.
Pleasure, mate.
So I always like to ask, the first question of how people got into acting. So do you mind just giving me a bit of backstory of what attracted you to this career?
Yeah. Well, many years ago, I was sort of, I lived in Israel for 2 years.
Oh, cool.
And while I was in Israel, I sort of got involved in a bit of music and sort of joined a little band out there back when I was 24, sort of thing, back in the 80s. And started touring around Israel in a little band. And then when I come home to England, I sort of formed another little band that didn't last very long. And I just wanted to carry on in the arts, really, Adam. And then I just walked up into a theatre company called the London Bubble, and it all started from there, really.
Nice, that's awesome. So was you born in Israel, or did you just go and live out there for a few years?
No, look, I've got an autobiography out, and sort of I go into all the reasons why I went out to Israel in the book, sort of thing. I got into a bit of trouble in this country.
Oh, okay.
Where the police sort of fabricated evidence against me and blah blah blah, and it took me to a very dark place. And when I got out of the trouble, I wanted to get as far away from England as I possibly could, sort of thing. And that was the sort of furthest place that I could think of was Israel, really. And I stayed in Israel for 2 years. Yeah.
Nice. So obviously you came back to England and then started acting. You've been involved with films like The Business and The Firm. So what attracted you to these like football hooligan style films?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, that's just 2 films out of sort of 23 or 24 movies that I've done, sort of thing. So nothing really attracted me to hooligan movies or whatever, because I mean, the genre obviously is hooligan and football and all that. But if you look a little bit deeper into the sort of ethos of the movies, they're, especially The Firm, it was quite a social comment, really, as to sort of everybody has got that stereotype of a football thug that they come from sort of dysfunctional families, and they're sort of, they've got no choice in the matter, sort of thing. But what we tried to do, I remember talking to Nick Love about it, we wanted to sort of try and turn the stereotype that this kid comes from a very loving family, and there was no dysfunction about it whatsoever. His mum and dad really, really loved him. And it was just pure, I suppose, growing up, really, coming of age, and peer pressure, where this kid sort of slips into this little environment where he was a little bit overawed by Paul Anderson's character,
No, I totally get that,
And it was also a remake of the original 80s thing with Gary Oldman, the Alan Clark film, which was quite, I don't know, it wasn't really a perfect portrait of that time, the casual movement and all that. I mean, in the Gary Oldman film, people were walking about with sort of chinos and moccasins and things like that, whereas the casual movement was all about feeling. It was about clothes, It was a Tacchini and Fila and Fred Perry and just all that stuff, sort of thing. So we tried, although it sort of probably comes across as a hooligan movie and a football movie, which it is because that is of the genre, but I thought there was a sort of underlining sort of social comment about them films. And the same with The Business, It's about sort of, is there any other direction than downwards when you get involved in all that sort of stuff, especially sort of from working class environments and things like that. And all of a sudden you come into a lot of money and it's not taxable or anything like that. It's just sort of piles and piles of money. It destroys you, sort of thing,
No, it's
So
really, yeah,
they were nice choices, really good choices, and of course they sort of clicked somehow. They resonated with the British film going audience sort of thing.
no, of course, because obviously you mentioned those two, and obviously I've watched other ones like Green Street and Football Factory, and obviously they all have
Well, I
underlining meaning.
think. Well, sorry to cut in,
Fine.
Adam, but I think these were look. These sort of movies can be quite gratuitous in a way, you know. It's like Green Street and I don't know them sort. I
Yeah.
don't, you know. But we thought there was a point to these couple of little movies, you know.
No, I was about to say that there's a very difference in the films. As you said, the business and the firm try to do one thing, whereas the M2 films are pure aggression towards the,
Yes.
yeah. And
yeah, which is sometimes a little bit brain dead, really. There's, you know, I'm not taking away from the movies at
No, I
all
get you.
because they were, you know, there's some beautiful acting going on in them sort of films, you know. And it's the same with like the Foot Soldier and all that. It's just like entertainment, and it just goes on and on and on and on, and sometimes it's the business of film, isn't it, to sort of resonate with whoever they want to watch the movie, sort of thing, you know.
No, I absolutely get you. Yeah, and obviously you mentioned Nick Love, obviously one of the directors. Have you got a good relationship with him outside of the whole film industry?
Well, I mean, look, we're friends. I mean, it's a strange world, you know. You enter into a new another world, a make-believe world sort of thing, and that's the only thing that matters at that moment sort of thing. There is no other world outside of it, which is the interesting thing about acting, really. You leave this world behind and enter into another world, and everyone who you're around, the makeup, the crew and everything, you become lifelong buddies in that moment sort of thing. But when it's over, it's almost sort of, you have to step back into the other universe again. And so apart from every now and then having an email, how you doing, blah blah blah, we're all pals sort of thing, but we don't sort of live in each other's pockets, if that makes any sense.
No, I absolutely get it.
I made a film, you know, I've worked with Ken Loach and Ian Bleasdale and all that. And at the time, while you're making a movie, it's beautiful. You're all mates, you're all that. But afterwards, it's like a job, really, you know?
Yeah. And just one last thing on the business and the whole firm thing.
Ask as much as you want, mate.
No, because I want to touch on a few other things obviously done in your career as well.
Yeah.
So, what was some of your highlights from the sets of the
Say
business?
that again, brother.
What were some of your highlights from the business and the firm?
The highlights was just like, I suppose, just working with friends. You know, we've known each other for a long time, the actors that were involved in them sort of films. Yeah. We all grew up in southeast London. And when we were like teenagers, late teenagers and all that, we used to pass each other in clubs and so, you know, before we were actors and before we got involved in this acting business, it's a very close world, you know, southeast London. There was only sort of 5 or 6 clubs going around at that time in the 80s that were worth anything, and everyone sort of used to rub shoulders in them clubs, sort of thing. And then obviously later on, so it was a nice thing to do, to work with your friends, really, that you've known for a long time and who you trust, especially within an acting sort of environment. It's nice to work with people that you know that can go anywhere within the script, sort of thing. If you go anywhere, they'll come with you, sort of thing, you know.
No, I absolutely get that.
And obviously sort of shooting in Spain and just the retrospective stuff of the firm, you know, being such an iconic film in the 80s, to sort of remake it, you know, it was quite a nice, that was quite a nice vibration as well, you know.
Nice, and that's cool. And obviously you worked with, likes of Tanner and Dyer and, these people. And I don't know if it's 100% fact, but obviously my dad's a huge fan of the business and the firm. And is it true that Tanner is possibly working on the business too? Look,
You
If you don't know,
know,
yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I've heard rumours of it, but I won't be in it anyway because my head's on a stick. So
That's very
it
true.
doesn't matter to me, really, whether it gets made or not. But it'd be nice for the audience if it does get made. But I don't know sort of the topic of where it would go to or anything if it was going to get made. So I really don't really know that much about it. I've heard it bandied about a little bit, but maybe it is going to be made. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But as soon as I do know, I'll let you know.
Okay. So just from your perspective, do you think it would tarnish the original if a sequel was made?
I don't know. I don't know. It might be better than the original. You know, I don't know. I
Very true.
mean, they're all separate entities, really. You know, the only thing that's in common with these sort of sequels and all that are names, aren't they? You know, it's like the Foot Soldier. I don't know. There's been about 100 of them, isn't there? Sequels.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? From Bonded with Blood to the rest of them, does it tarnish Bonded with Blood? All the sequels, you know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It is very hard. You've got to be very delicate with these products because if the fans don't want it and then you do it and then it just ruins the predecessor ones. Again, like you said, it is a very hard thing to talk about because you don't know what the story's going to be per se.
Yeah, but look, I've seen so many sort of sequels, and it's very different. It's like pop music, isn't it? Someone to make a fantastic first album, and you've got to do something very special, like say for instance, Oasis with Definitely Maybe and Morning Glory. You know, the sequel was actually better than the first one. So I think it's a very difficult job in hand to try and you know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think you've got to be careful when you do them sort of things, you know. You've got to be really careful not to sort of jump on the publicity of the original. And if you are going to do them sort of things, I mean, there's other ways of doing it, isn't there, than bandying it about as the business too. Just name it, really, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Name the movie.
And obviously, you mentioned the Foot Soldier films. You're involved with the third one and Origins. What was it like being part of them? Obviously, because they're huge films within that's not they're similar to firm films, but they're in that sort of violence-esque world. So what were they like to be part of?
Again, it was so lovely working with friends. It was like Roland and Craig and Andy Loveday who produced the movie. You know, we were all it's so incestuous, these little movies, you know. It's very sort of, we're all the same. We all, I don't know, really. We're just all friends, you know what I mean? I've just finished a movie with Roland. Roland's first, it's his directorial sort of debut called The Sun. Yeah, The Sun Also Rises, it's called. And he wrote it and directed it as well, which is going to be a nice little movie. But also Craig's in it and Jeff Bell's in it.
Yeah.
You know, and again, we've got the sort of usual suspects popping up in these little ones as well, which is a beautiful thing, really, because as I said, we all sort of trust each other when we're working with each other, and we've all got mutual respect for each other. And you know, that really makes a difference when you walk onto a sort of movie set, you know, because it's nice to just walk on and think, oh, look, I'm doing this lovely scene with this person that I really love and I trust and everything, and that sort of shines through in the work. Like with the business, we tried to stay on all the time, even when we wasn't filming. We stayed on as that gang.
Yeah.
You know, when we was all staying in this big apartment block in Almuñeca in Spain.
Oh, cool.
They must have thought we were fucking lunatics, the waiters and all that, you know, because we never come out of that little firm that we were, sort of thing. Danny was playing Danny, and we was all sort of playing who we were all playing, sort of thing. So it's a strange world to enter into, really, Adam, that film world, because as I said, for that moment of time, nothing else really matters, you know?
Yeah. No, I totally get it. And it's really cool to see you've got these clicks that, as you said, it makes being on set that much easier. And then you can just go back and forth with these people. So it's really cool to hear that. And
no, it's the beautiful thing about our little gang
Yeah.
sort of thing, you know. We're all tried and tested, and if we are all in a movie together, people can actually go, oh well, look, you know, there's a bit of value to that.
Yeah, exactly.
If that makes any sense, you know.
No, I totally get it. And obviously going back to Nick Love for a sec, obviously he directed Football Factory as well. And I'm not saying, you know, he's going to cast you in every film he's in, but was there any attraction to Football Factory for you or between you and Nick?
Well, I wasn't involved in the Football Factory.
Yeah.
You know, I got involved in it just when it got the Football Factory. Well, Charlie Bright was his first one.
Right.
You know, Goodbye Charlie Bright. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I've heard of it. I've not seen it though.
It's a beautiful movie. You should look at it. It's it's another social statement. You know, Nick's about, I know there's a lot of gratuitous violence. Well, there's really not a lot of gratuitous violence in his films because he tries to make it real, you know?
Yeah.
And he was involved in all that football sort of, what's the word for it? The football movements, you know? Like, I don't want to call them thugs or anything because it's just an outpouring of aggression, really. They're like clubs, you know. They're working class people and sometimes middle class people that just have to vent some sort of aggression out of their bodies, sort of thing. So the Football Factory, you know, that was the introduction, really. And then I was living in Spain. I lived in Spain for 6 years. And then one day I was walking along the beach in Marbella and I saw Tamar. And I went, hey, you know, I hadn't seen Tamar since I was like 18 or something like that. And I'm now sort of 35 or whatever age I was. I can't remember. And I went, oh, hello, mate, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm out here on a recce. We're making a movie. I went, oh, fantastic. What is it? And he said, it's called The Business. And I said, well, slip us in, will you? Slip us into the... He went, yeah, no problem. And sort of 2 weeks later, I got called to London and then, you know, got the job as Ronnie. So that's how that happened, really, basically. Nice. It was just a bit of luck. If I wasn't walking down the beach that day, I probably wouldn't have been in the film, you know?
I mean, what's the odd, though, that you come across Tamar, though? What are the odds of that, though? Like...
Look, do you know what? And I'm not surprised anymore. I've got to my age and I'm just not surprised of anything anymore. I think it's about sort of when you're resonating somehow with, if you're in something and you're putting that vibration out somehow, something connects with it, you know, somewhere along the line. It's only like people that are working in restaurants and people like actors that work in restaurants and they cut that vibration really somehow and it's harder for them to sort of connect with the vibration really. It all sounds very Zenist and all that, but really that's what it is, you know?
Yeah, I get that. And just flipping back to Rise of the Foot Soldiers, obviously, as I said, you're in the third one in Origins. Origins is obviously a prequel to the series, I think. Is there any talks of any more films, or are you not in the loop?
Well, I can't see what else they can do now, really. You know, because they've sort of concluded it all. I mean, the last bit of the Origins. I mean, I'm only in it for a couple of seconds, sort of thing. After the credits, like one of them little Marvel turnouts,
post-credit scene, yeah.
Which me and Billy Murray sort of, there it is. We actually sort of consolidate what we actually done and what our characters did in the demise of Pat Tate and all these people, sort of thing. So I think Andy and Nick are onto other things now. You know, I don't know. Look, I don't know. There might be another foot soldier. I don't know. but I can't see what's left to do with the foot soldiers, really.
Yeah, I totally get that. And what's in store for you next? What are you working on at the moment?
Well, I've got one of my own scripts being looked at the moment.
Nice.
You know, by quite a prestige. I don't really want to say too much in case it sort of jinx it. But people are really, really loving it, and it's quite a controversial topic, really, as well. So it's about a little girl that gets abducted by somebody, and of course the usual suspects are all starring in it again, sort of thing.
Oh, nice.
So what we're doing at the moment, another good thing that you could possibly help us with, I'm trying to get this. I've never really been one for sort of whoring myself in social network platforms, you know, like Instagram and all that. So what we're trying to do at the moment is, because of this movie, and because, you know, we see it's moving quite fast, this film. So we're trying to get this Instagram membership up a little bit higher. So if anyone's around, Adam, and they can sort of follow my Instagram account, it's eddie.weber. It'd be much appreciated, really, because then we can sort of, it makes it easier for us to sort of
get the news out there.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Or at least sow some sort of seed, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll 100% share it on the bottom of the link when this video goes live. I'll put it on my Instagram. I'll get it out there for you.
Yeah, nice, mate. And then it's going to be really an exciting little film, really. There's some really nice people within the production side of it that want to get on board it. I've also written a Western series.
Oh, nice. A
nice little Western series that hasn't been done before, the topic that I'm sort of writing. Well, you know, again, I can't really say too much of it because it's sort of quite a little bit airtight at the moment.
Yeah, I get that.
But it's nice. But this lockdown and everything that's been happening in the last couple of years has really sort of knocked the wind out of people's sails. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. Yeah.
You're fucked. Everyone was just fucked, really, basically. You know, there's nothing no one could do. He was just waiting for this Boris Johnson to tell us. God knows what he was thinking at the time, you know, himself, you know, out having parties while we're all sitting down. Get work, you know. But that's politics, and we don't really want to go into that.
No, I get you. It's been a crazy 2 years.
How was yours? I suppose this podcast in lockdown, I suppose it thrived a bit, did it not?
Well, I didn't start it as early as I probably should have. I started it last January. But I got in contact with a lot of people. It's getting the subscribers in. So yeah, I'm doing well. You know, as good as I can be. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Obviously having great guests like yourself on the show always, you know, makes it better.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people. You just got to get out there, really, and get them on, you know, to be a point to it. Because I've started doing a little podcast myself, you know. I've sort of dipped my toe in the water a couple of months ago, sort of thing. I've got 5 or 6 up there, and it's quite a nice thing to do, especially doing the research into the people that you're talking to as well. I quite enjoy that. Yeah.
No, I totally get it, because it makes for a better conversation if you know a lot about the person and you can go into details. As obviously as we've spoken about the firm, the business, the foot soldiers. So what else in your career stands out to you, apart from the roles we've already spoke about?
Well, I mean, the most fulfilling thing that I ever did was a commercial, actually, you know, which it highlighted stroke, you know, when people were having strokes.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It ran for quite a long time on TV, and I think that done a lot of good for people, you know, that saved people's lives, that advert, you know, so I was quite proud of what that one achieved, really.
Nice.
And as much as sort of, what was the question?
What other roles and jobs stood out to you in your career?
I mean, working with Ken Loach was fantastic. You know, I don't know really. I just loved everything.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
It's just there's nothing actually sort of stands out because it's just a job again, really. You know,
sure.
and I mean the business and the firm certainly are the biggest things that resonated with people, because people are still sort of highly into them little movies now, you know,
Yeah.
and they were made sort of 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
crazy.
still walk, well, you still walk down the street and people going, "Oh, you look better. Oh, last time I saw you, your head was on a stick." And you just like, no, that was like 2006 or something, you
Yeah.
know. And also sort of getting my son's unfortunately graduated from drama school right in the middle of COVID, you know.
Yeah.
So he didn't get any, he went to East 15 drama school, so he didn't really get a chance to do the things that you do when you leave drama school, sort of thing, like get agents invited to your last shows. So actually getting him a couple of jobs in films, I thought was a great achievement as well. You know,
Nice.
it's that stands out more to me as a father and as you know, we all want to do things for our children, sort of thing. And when the opportunity comes to be able to do things for the children, and that's the highest sort of award you can get, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you. Yeah.
But the future's look, you know, we're you know, as I said, I've started writing, I've got an autobiography out, I've got a couple of scripts with people. There's a couple of other little films in the pipeline. This one I've just done with Roland, The Sun Also Rises. It's starting to pick up again now, Adam, you know.
That's good. I'm really glad to hear that.
We've got this process now, because up until 2 years ago, you get an audition for a film and you go and meet the people and talk to them about the film, sort of thing. But now it's all done over this Zoom, which I hate. You know, I can't stand it, man. You know, because
we've lost that personal interaction, haven't we? I suppose, in a way.
Totally, and it's so sad. It's so sad that I don't know if we're ever going to get it back again. You know.
Yeah, because I think this, into many ways, people might see as an easier format of doing it anyway going forward, and they might just remove the whole in-person interaction. I think
which is bad, really, because you need to win your job. You know, you need to get in there and say to these people, you know, I can do this. This is me. This part is me, sort of thing. And over like a Zoom interview, it's very difficult to
get the real you.
To engage, you know, because you don't know who to look at, you don't know, and it's all about looking at people acting, you know, looking in people's eyes, and you're all over the place when you're doing this thing, and it's, I don't know, I just hope it all comes back, really. I hope all this bullshit that's been going on, all this I don't know, look,
I 100% agree with you. We need to go back to some form of normality where we can meet up with people, like in the acting style, you know, where you can meet
any style, anywhere, anywhere. I mean, I go to India every year, you know. I go out to India for 3 or 4 months every year, just to have a little walkabout around India, sort of thing, and do the things that I'm interested in when I go to India.
Nice.
And I've not been able to go anywhere, you know, and I'm not vaccinated either, you know, so it's difficult for me now to do the things that I actually love.
I agree.
Because I've got to have passports and I've got to have all this stuff. And whatnot. So it's just fucked up. It's just really fucked up at the moment, you know. Everything's fucked up. I mean, you look at the TV, you look at all the radio, and I mean, you're just thinking, what is this? What's going on? It's a free for all, you know. Well, people are earning money hand over fist at the moment, you know. So I can't see it really stopping, because it's this. What's happened in the last couple of years has now become an industry in itself, you know. People are earning a lot of money, and do they really want it to stop, these people that are earning a lot of money, you know?
Exactly. You probably hit the nail on the head. That's the thing. As bad as COVID and stuff was, a lot of people have earned money in other places where they could have found it during that time period. So it's a win-win for some people, I think. So, you know.
Well, you still have to pay, I don't know, what is it, 30 quid or something to get a test before you go abroad? Or
Oh, yeah, PRC test. Yeah.
still money, people making money, you know. And if you think of that in the bigger picture, and that's a lot of 30 quid going in people's pockets, you know.
Exactly. You average out about 200 people on an average flight, don't you? So that's a lot of money just there.
Yeah, even if you've had that jab, you still got to pay for that test, haven't you?
Exactly.
I don't know the rules, but it just seems that I mean, I'm quite lucky, really, because I went through the sort of the late 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. There's not much more fun that I can have in life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've been through everything.
Well, I grew up in them eras, you know, the sort of the birth of everything that you all hold in awe now, you know?
Yeah, we take things way too much for granted. You guys, and obviously people prior to you, went through much worse than we do. And it's just, you know.
Yeah, we didn't go through worse, though. I mean, it's such a shame that you couldn't have lived the life that we lived, you know, the freedoms that we had.
I would have loved, the 80s is always my period where I would have loved to have lived, you know.
Yeah, it was free, man. It was just totally, there was no rules, really. No. And then the government sort of thought, hold up, they're getting away with too much here. And they brought something in the 80s, which messed things up a little bit. But you know, the 70s and the 80s were just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And even the 90s, you know, when all the indie scenes started happening and festivals everywhere and just everyone, it went back again. And so really, I can't ever see that sort of enjoyment ever coming back again for you young people, you know, and it's a shame, really.
Yeah.
My boy's in a band. He's got a great little band because he went to a sort of music university, and they check them out. They're called Comforts.
Right.
You can get them on Instagram. I think it's We Are Comforts is their sort of handles of what they do, sort of thing. But it's just not the same.
I agree.
Not the same. It's not the same. There's this underlining paranoia everywhere you go now.
Yeah, we can only hope things get back to some form of normality. I don't know what it looks like, but you know, hopefully we'll get there one day.
Well, it looked rubbish to us, my generation. I can't tell you, it looks absolutely rubbish to us.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I just want to finish on a couple of questions before I wrap things up. I'm just going back a little bit. You worked on, I think it's The Business with, is it Camille? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah. What was she like to work with? Because I enjoy from Doctor Who. So
the most beautiful, beautiful lady. She is just one that, because she was also my wife in the firm.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, she was my wife in the firm. She is one of the most glorious women. She's just so. It's such a pleasure to just be with her. You know, it was, and we was with each other quite a lot. You know, in them two movies, and she's just the most beautiful woman, just in every way, you know, sort of aesthetically and internally, you know, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lady. I love her dearly. I love her dearly.
Are you still in contact with her?
Very giving, very kind, you know.
It's really good to hear, because obviously, like I said, I watched her in Doctor Who for so many years, and obviously to hear her have a relationship with, you know, other people and other TV shows and films is really good to hear. And it resonates with the person as well. So
yeah, she's a lovely, really beautiful. I'd work with her again in a heartbeat. You know,
that's good to hear. Are you, like I said about Nick, are you in contact with her, or is she like someone who passes by every now and again?
Well, it's funny, really, because our birthdays are on the same day.
Oh, okay.
So we race on the 18th of April. We race to the phone to see wishes happy birthday. And it's like, you beat me, you got it, you know. So I'm up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, just ready to text.
That's amazing. Wow.
So that was another nice thing in common as well, because if your birthdays meet, there's a planetary sort of synergy there somewhere.
That's awesome. Just to finish off, wrap this up. What are you wanting to do more of going forward? I know we've obviously spoke about you've got a few scripts in the work. You got any roles in mind you'd like to still play before you pack everything up?
Not really. I mean, the most important thing to me really is to get back traveling.
Yeah.
Is to get back out to India, because I love India. I absolutely love it. I love the place. It's my sort of spiritual home sort of thing. I feel most at home in that country than anywhere. And it's just this sort of liberation of sticking a rucksack on your back and walking up mountains and talking to swamis and yogis and just having no one that knows you sort of thing.
I agree. I love traveling before. I haven't been as far as India, but going around Europe and stuff, it was brilliant just to go away from where you live for a week or whatever it is and just to forget about everything. It's just such an amazing feeling, I think,
And that's all messed up now for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Last time I traveled was 2020 March. That was to Iceland. And it's like, I miss it so much,
Yeah, but not that, because Europe now, you have to have visas.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just all sorts of crap. I mean, a funny story. I remember I was in a place called Tamil Nadu, which is really like a backwater of India.
Right.
A little village in the middle of nowhere, right? And it was just the most funniest thing. I was walking down this high street, walking towards the temple, and this little Indian guy come up to me and he went, "Business." The business. You're joking.
Wow.
I mean, he didn't have any clothes on. He was like a proper village Indian sort of thing who'd seen the business. And he went, "Let's have a photograph." I thought, oh no, that's topped it all, really, mate.
That's amazing.
Probably a highlight of my life, that one.
Wow, for it to travel that far, because to go all the way around the world and to get to India, for people to watch the business, that's crazy. That's wow.
Well, they do, and it was obviously dubbed. So Harry sort of, because there's no way they're going to understand my accent anywhere or any of our accents in that,
Yeah.
So it's. And I would love to hear the dubbing of it and get someone to translate what the dubbing is. I bet it's just like they've just wrote a new script or something and just put it all in.
That'd be
Fancy a
insane.
curry, the roast scene at the end of it.
Yeah.
The roast is probably a vindaloo or something. Well, can't we have a vindaloo sort of thing? No, that was a funny moment. That was a really funny moment.
It's really cool to hear. I think it makes it that much better as well when not just people in the UK and other places are watching, especially when it travels that far around the world and you have fans in, like said, places where you like to travel, which makes it that much better.
Well, no, I don't think though he was a fan. Well, maybe I wouldn't use the plural when you say fans. I'd say a fan in amongst about 8 billion people. There's one person that's sort of that's walking down a backwater village and knows the business sort of.
That is crazy.
It did cheer me up, I must say.
Yeah,
it cheered me up.
Oh, it's good to hear. And
there's photos going around with me and him somewhere around India.
Be famous in India now.
Famous in India now. That one person in Tamil Nadu. Yeah.
You said you didn't want to go. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go on.
No, go on, mate.
No, I was going to say you like going to places where you're not recognised, but now you're very well recognised all across India.
Listen, I don't mind being recognised. Not that I'm anyone who warrants being recognised in any way, but it's like someone once said something to me which was really, really thought-provoking, and he said, our mission on this earth is to own a piece of the planet,
Yeah.
And I think when a stranger comes up to you you've never met before in your life and you've got no idea what and they know you, it sort of indicates that you actually have earned a piece of the planet,
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's a beautiful beautiful thing, really. There's nothing more that you need in life than to own a piece of the planet that you. I don't mean like a house or.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've put your mark on this world. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Which is probably the answer to all your questions, really. That's the highlight, really, that you've actually, in 200 years' time, there might be a hole found with a couple of DVDs in it, sort of thing. And then 200 years' time, there they are, looking at you in movies, sort of thing, and you with your podcast,
Yeah, exactly. No, I absolutely get you. And it's, like I said, you've done some amazing roles. I appreciate your time today, and thank
It's
you
a
for
pleasure,
sharing
Adam.
some of your stories from your sets and your traveling. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure, Adam, and really keep going, man. Keep
Thank you.
going. It's nice, really nice talking to you. Really, really good.
Yeah,
If you could do that little Instagram thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not an ego thing at all.
No,
I'm not
I get it.
saying
I
this
totally
out of
respect
an
it.
ego thing. It's just purely a business thing that we'd like to keep people up to date, because it's a difficult industry to move in anyway.
Yeah.
I
get that, yeah.
So it seems to me that the more people you get on these sort of social network accounts, the more you're taken serious, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I know that's a really, really horrible sort of way to look at life, sort of thing, but hey, that's how it is, sort of thing. So if people can just jump on Instagram at eddie.weber, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, Eddie, you did me a massive favor being on the channel today, so I'll do you the favor repaying that
Done
on
me a
Instagram.
favor, mate. It's nice. I've met another human being. It's nice, man.
Yeah, well, I hope we catch up down the line again, and maybe we'll talk about the projects you're working on, and maybe when they come to life. I look forward to checking them out as well. So thank you.
Anytime you like, mate. Anytime you like.
Awesome. Well, have a great day, Eddie, and take care.
Take it easy, brother.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy.